So earlier we didn't get your degree of intensity around that 5-year-old event of you couldn't draw. But just tune back in now and feel that physical feeling in your gut and go back to that 5-year-old event and ask your body, what number am I?
10.
It's a 10. We'll just go straight for that one in that case. I don't need to check any of the others. Okay. So let's start with a super simple technique, tap and talk. We'll tap through all the points while you tell me the event.
I was 5 years old, and I was in Catholic school in Ireland, and I was asked to draw a church. And it seemed to be very, very simple, and for some reason I couldn't do it. And I remember being so overwhelmed, I refused to go to school. And I was completely petrified. And my mom went in to speak to the teacher, and she said it wasn't really a big deal. But I'm not able to draw. And as much as I love art, I'm not able to draw. And I think it was the frustration of something being so simple.
And so you still can't draw?
No. Well, also in high school, when I was in Ireland, the arts were not really, it was all the academics. So if you did art, you weren't very smart. So it was not appreciated. And I'm also a musician, so I don't know if there's any correlation there.
So if you think back on that event, let's just slow it way down and look at it piece by piece. So you're in a classroom. Can you remember the classroom, what it looked like?
Yes.
Okay. Remember the nun's name or the teacher's name?
Yes.
Okay. Dare you say?
Mrs. McGarry.
Miss McGarry.
Mrs. McGarry.
Mrs. McGarry, okay.
She had red hair.
Now, when you say Mrs. McGarry, what number are you on her name?
She was actually very sweet, so she's
Okay.
probably like a 1.
Okay.
She was very sweet.
Okay. Okay, so Mrs. McGarry, in her sweet way, is asking you to draw a church. And then just really slowing down time to as slow as possible. When are you starting to feel that feeling in your gut?
I didn't know where to start. So it looked very simple. I can still see the drawing of the church, which was only like triangles and rectangles. But I did not know where to start.
Even though I didn't know where to start,
Even though I didn't know where to start.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I didn't know where to start,
Even though I didn't know where to start.
I have compassion on myself.
I have compassion on myself.
Even though I didn't know where to start,
Even though I didn't know where to start.
I was doing my best.
I was doing my best.
I was trying.
I was trying.
I'm trying now.
I'm trying now.
I was trying then.
I was trying then.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
This has affected me,
This has affected me.
and I was trying. Just tap. Just stay with those feelings. Don't say anything. Just tap. It's fine. I'll just say things for you, and we'll let that be okay for now. So, my feelings, I have these feelings that are coming up in me. They're uncomfortable. It's hard to deal with them. And I have compassion on myself. I'm okay. It was difficult for me. I didn't know where to start then. Sometimes today I don't know where to start on problems in my life either. And I have compassion on myself because I'm doing my best. I'm trying my hardest. I was trying my hardest then. I'm trying my hardest now. And I hold the young version of myself in the energy of compassion. I hold the current version of myself in the energy of compassion. I don't know where to start sometimes now. I didn't know where to start then. I don't know how to start dealing with my feelings sometimes. They come up and I don't know where to start on healing myself, on dealing with my own feelings. My own feelings are overwhelming sometimes and feel sometimes as though if I let them be, let them loose, they'll overwhelm me. It's overwhelming. Life can be overwhelming. I'm doing my best, I'm trying my hardest, even though it's overwhelming. And it's hard to know where to even start sometimes on putting all the squares and rectangles of my life into a coherent whole. Let's do the 9 gamuts. So tap the gamut point, close your eyes and open them. Eyes hard down to the left, eyes hard down to the right, eyes in a big circle all the way around. So let's keep on going. Let's just go on this one quadrant over here. Don't know where to start. I don't know where to start. Loving and accepting the adult version of me, the little version of me. Don't know where to start. Love and acceptance. Don't know where to start. Starting somewhere, starting nowhere. Starting now, starting then. Starting sometime, starting never. Let's go the other way around. Not starting, never starting, always starting, sometimes starting, starting and stopping, starting and finishing, never finishing, never starting, love and acceptance, being myself, being safe, being okay. I took a deep breath back a moment ago. What was happening for you then?
I think it's the idea of really loving and accepting myself and knowing that I'm doing my best. This was hard because what I was thinking was I could visually see this. This was slightly out of my vision. So this almost made me dizzy. So, you know, I mean, that, again, I'm sure is symbolic. But there's certainly a soothing quality.
Yes.
Of even though I'm not completely listening to what you're saying, I'm really trying to focus. This was causing a little bit of uncomfortability.
Yes.
And as I said, almost as if I felt as if slightly out of focus and slightly dizzy, trying to strain to get this part done.
Yeah, and your eyes were moving smoothly all the rest of the circle, but that one spot was, I wasn't any further away than that spot, but your eyes were just flicking when you went
Yeah, it was
across that
very
spot.
hard for me to see that without kind of turning my head to see it.
That's because that part of the brain, for some reason, is linked to this
Trauma.
feeling. Yeah, the trauma, the feeling. Yeah. So I want you to picture the triangles and rectangles of that church drawing now, and see if they produce any kind of a sensation in your.
Yeah, it's quite easy.
Okay.
You know, it's also realizing that when you are able to break something down into smaller pieces, it's achievable.
Let's tap on that. When you're able to break something down into smaller pieces,
When you're able to break something down into smaller pieces,
it's achievable.
it's achievable.
Back then, I couldn't break things down into smaller pieces.
Back then, I couldn't break things into smaller pieces.
And Mrs. McGarry, even though she was sweet, couldn't do it for me, couldn't help me with it.
And even though Mrs. McGarry, who was sweet, couldn't help me and couldn't do it for me.
Yeah. And sometimes now in my life, I can break things into smaller pieces.
And sometimes now in my life, I can break things into smaller pieces.
Other times in my life, I cannot break things into smaller pieces.
Other times in my life, I cannot break them into smaller pieces.
And either way,
And either way,
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept the version of Louise
I love and accept the version of Louise
that can break things into small pieces
that can break things into small pieces
and get them done.
and get them done.
I love and accept the version of Louise
I love and accept the version of Louise
that cannot break things into small pieces
that cannot break things into small pieces
and get them done.
and get them done.
Maybe I don't love her quite as much,
Maybe I don't love her quite as much,
but she's doing her best.
but she's doing her best.
She's trying her hardest.
She is trying her
She is
hardest.
trying her hardest.
Yeah.
We can agree on that. She is trying her hardest. Yeah, she's trying her hardest.
She's trying her hardest.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't say anything. Just stay with that feeling. Stay totally with that feeling. Because that feeling has been in you a long time and hasn't really been felt as much as it could have been. So let's really stay with that feeling and just let that feeling be. And let's just focus on, I let my feelings be. I let myself have my feelings. I often want my feelings to go away. And I don't just sit with them and feel them. And for once in my life right now, I'm just sitting and feeling this feeling, letting it be there, being okay with having this feeling, and being okay with having all my feelings. And they're uncomfortable, and they're overwhelming. And just for this moment, I let myself have my feelings. I let myself have all my feelings, the comfortable ones and the uncomfortable ones. I let them all be there. I let all the versions of Louise be there. I allow the versions of Louise to be there that are overwhelmed and bewildered and don't know where to start. And I allow the versions of myself to be there that know where to start and aren't overwhelmed. I just have compassion on all the parts of myself. All the parts of myself. The ones I find easy and the ones I find difficult. I have compassion on all the parts of myself. So tap on the back of your hand now. Let's do the circular eye movements. Okay, your eyes are much smoother now. So let's just go here 1 or 2 times and see how you do. That's good. Still skipping a little bit, so we'll do a couple more passes there. Then we'll go around the same way, then we'll go around the other way. One more time this way. Okay, take a deep breath. And tune back into your body and see how you feel physically now.
Probably a 2 or a 3.
A 2 or a 3, okay. So, if you were to completely make it okay to feel all those feelings, what would that look like?
That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah,
So-
I make an assumption here, maybe an incorrect one, that you tend to, when you have those feelings come up, you try and move past them quickly and don't really sit there with them. Is that true? Or?
Yeah, because I'm always justifying or saying I have this, but I have this.
Right.
So I'm always trying to look at the positive, but
Right.
sometimes by always being grateful for what I have, I'm not then accepting the feelings that I have.
Right.
And also because I have been a single mom for 12 years, I've had to keep those feelings hidden so that I could really just survive and get through with trying to raise 3 children. So now there's time for me.
So let's tap on, I have to keep these feelings hidden.
I have to keep these feelings hidden.
I have to keep these feelings hidden.
Yeah, but I don't know if I do anymore. I don't have
Right.
to keep them hidden. So that didn't feel true. I don't have to keep them hidden.
And here you didn't keep them hidden, and it turned
And I
out
survived.
You survived, yes, right. Maybe even feel better. of
Yes,
keeping
I
them
do.
hidden. Yeah,
I do.
yeah. I may keep them hidden.
I may keep them hidden.
I may not keep them hidden.
I may not keep them hidden.
The choice is mine.
The choice is mine.
And they're my feelings either way.
And they're my feelings either way.
Whether they're hidden
Whether they're hidden
or whether I reveal them,
or whether I reveal them.
it's my choice.
It's my choice.
And I'm okay either way.
And I'm okay either way.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Revealing them or not revealing them?
Revealing them or not revealing them.
Feeling them deeply.
Feeling them deeply.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Feeling.
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 All these feelings.
All these feelings.
Which I reveal.
Which I reveal.
Or don't reveal.
Or don't reveal.
It's my choice.
It's my choice.
My feelings are okay.
My feelings are okay.
And I'm okay.
And I'm okay.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Just the way I am.
Just the way I am.
So tune now back into your body and see what it's telling you in that scene.
It's a completely different body. It's like I could get up and dance. It's great. Like the energy has completely shifted. Yeah.
What do you feel in your solar plexus now?
I don't feel anything. I'm at a zero. I think the idea really of accepting myself
Yes.
and being okay with, like, working through that trauma
Yes.
and accepting the parts that procrastinate and the parts that don't, and being able to just accept both parts.
Yes.
And I think the part where it was I'm doing my best was really hard.
Yes.
And even I can say it now without crying.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
so thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So stay there, please. Don't go away. So a few comments about the session. So we are not consistent. We feel this way, then we feel that way. We feel mutually contradictory desires. We want to do something, we don't want to do something. Our feelings are there. We don't always want to feel them or accept them or express them. We have all of these different things going on inside of ourselves. And the beauty of energy work in general, and EFT in particular, is that it gives us space to be with all of those possibilities. You don't need to have only one possibility. You don't need to have only one motivation, one goal, one reality. You can hold all of them. The reality in which you do this and do feel this and are this, and the reality in which you aren't and don't feel it, or let go of that feeling, or embrace that feeling. All of those are possible. We just tap and mention them all, and this integrates them all into ourselves. We aren't having to split off any of them and say that part of me is not acceptable, that part of me doesn't work, that part of me is my enemy, I have to get rid of it. So now we're able to move forward in our lives as integrated human beings because we aren't having to exclude parts of ourselves that we think are unacceptable or that we thought others thought were unacceptable earlier, which we're now reenacting in our adult lives. So it's incredibly powerful to do this kind of work and then say all of those things. So you can hear me doing a session like this and think, but Dawson, that makes no sense. Do I accept myself or do I not accept myself? And the answer is, I don't know. And I don't really care. All I care is that we reawaken all of that neural wiring in your brain, get it firing, and then we counter-condition all the stress attached to it. And then your whole story about the world changes when you're able to do that. So again, that's why I say this is a neurological technique, an energy technique, not a cognitive technique. Logically, about half of what I said in that session and asked Louise to say made no sense whatsoever.
Can I also say what was really powerful was when I was so overwhelmed and couldn't speak, and that you became my voice and you spoke for me, and yet I could feel the benefits of the tapping. So I think that would be incredibly helpful to anybody, especially when you have a client or a student, because I teach high school, where they're not able to speak and they can get overwhelmed, and it's very compassionate.
Yes.
It's very compassionate.
When you take over speaking for the client
Yes.
and don't make them speak, because she wanted to be in her feelings, and her feelings were demanding. They were saying, "You need to be with me right now. Don't talk. I don't care about all this EFT stuff. I want to be heard." Her feelings were really coming up there. And so by talking for her, I was validating her feelings being there and not trying to yank her back into cognitive land. I was letting her be in emotional land and feeling land. Now, were any things I was saying, again, you can often tell the client this in advance. In fact, one of our practitioners in the room mentioned they tell their clients this, that if anything I'm saying feels off base to you, let me know, or just correct the language and I'll go with you. In this case, I didn't ask you that, but I'm just curious now, any of those things?
No, it was, you were on target.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Good. You'll be on target much of the time. Don't assume you always will be. Sometimes you miss and miss badly. So the client knowing that you're willing to accept feedback and shift is valuable. Yeah. So again, the body is really powerful. Body doesn't lie. Body is a good way of testing. That's not numeric. I never asked her about her SUD level. I just asked her about how she felt in her body, and she was able to clear that. What I was wondering at the very end was if it was down to a 0, or if there was a different feeling somewhere else in your body. If there were, I may have switched to chasing the pain technique, and gone from physical sensation to physical sensation. So I was just looking to see if there's anything to do. If there was, I'd have made a note of it in my session notes form for the next session. Any other questions or observations about? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a question in regards to that, but I guess you're right. So I was just thinking, when you were talking for her,
Yes.
would it be possible, like sometimes you get it wrong, and
Yes.
then you give kind of like, because I work with a lot of people with trauma, that a lot of times they don't know how they feel or they think, and if I would just kind of like clue them in, I'm worried that I would actually
Yes.
clue them to the point that they would think, oh, this is how I feel, but that's not really it's not theirs, it's mine. So I'd be worried of projection.
Yeah, and
You
so
know what I mean? It's just
yeah.
something that I would be worried, like, oh my God, what if I'm projecting
Yes.
what I feel for me?
Right.
Which is,
And that's another place the opposites come into place. I am this, I'm not this. I'm completely this, I'm not this at all. And then they have a lot of leeway in between where they can be. I don't know whether she's all that or not that, but she knows, and she knows where on the spectrum she is, and she can move to different parts there. So yeah, a few times I've thought that a client was a certain, like, just for example, I've had people who start crying, and I say something to them like, it looks like that was really emotional for you. And this happened to me actually twice in the last few workshops. And the client says, no, I actually cry when I'm happy. Oops. So we'll talk about this more in the module on distant work, when you work with people over distance on phone or on Zoom or something like that, teleconferencing, video conferencing. But we always say, you may have intuitions, you may sense where the client is, but you check that with the client. And you may be right sometimes, and the client may say you're not right, because the client is not ready to go there, and you respect that as well. Yeah.
So I noticed you were doing this very intuitive blend of whatever was there at the moment, just going with that. And I love that, and I love doing that too. But I just so I know the classic protocol, just so I kind of have that in my head. What it is that the setup, and I know you let it go because you want to do good work, but that the setup is, even though I still deeply love and accept myself, and then you move into the points and you kind of put words on the pain and the hurt and whatever, and when that reduces to a certain degree, and insights begin to come, then you go with those and follow those, and you do the 9 gamut when things are difficult or stuck or just at a point that you want to go deeper. And
All of the
then you can,
above, yes.
So that's correct. And then you could jump back to the setup at any point when it seems like there's new information or new
Yes.
insight about. So is that correct?
Yes.
The basic structure?
That's very astute, Ken. That's exactly it.
Okay.
And so I've got the structure in there, which I can go back to anytime in the session. And that is sort of the initiation of a new cycle usually when I'm doing I may have new information, she may have supplied new information. She may have shifted she had several cognitive shifts in the course of that. And occasionally when she had a positive cognitive shift, we would do a little bit of tapping on that before flipping back to the next negative part of the session. It's just reinforcing the positive as well.
So
That
when-
she came up with, so I didn't come up with any positive shifts for her. She came up with them all by herself.
So are you saying that when a positive shift comes up or a new insight, you should then go back and do a new setup, or it depends on the situation?
Yeah, a couple of times I did when she made positive statements. We tapped to reinforce those, to give her again an anchor of safety and security, so we could move to the next part. And then the whole idea of not giving herself time to feel her feelings, that you don't have to be a genius to deduce, because most people don't. They just, we feel bad stuff and we just want to go away from it right away. We don't sit with it. We don't sit with those wounded parts of ourselves often. And so now is a chance to sit with them, and they clear usually really fast as well, unless somebody is deeply traumatized and has no center. So just letting the person sit there and saying, it's okay to feel this stuff. You've spent your life just skimming over it and running on to the next thing to distract yourself. Just feel those feelings, and validating that is so powerful, because then they do shift. It's the skating over them, running away from them, not giving them space that's kept them locked in place. And so so giving the client a chance to heal and really sit with that is powerful. Yeah.
Do you ever, if you've worked with a client a few times and they know sort of how to do this, do you ever allow them to just use their own language and you are the observer of them tapping?
Yes.
They can just be in it? Because I've asked a couple people that I've just worked with a little bit, do you want me to speak for you, and walk you through this, or do you feel like you can do this?
Yes.
Is that okay to do as well?
Yeah, they get very confident after a while. Your client will just correct you if you're wrong,
Right.
because they know that the session is for them and they're driving it. Yeah, Danielle.
When this kind of plays off of what she was asking about, so you're talking about integrating their feelings. So for her, you would say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm not overwhelmed. You kind of repeated that, both sides of that.
Yes.
Was that for her sake of, because sometimes she feels overwhelmed, sometimes she doesn't feel overwhelmed,
Yes.
and you're covering the spectrum?
Absolutely. And validating all of those versions of self.
So like somebody was doing a fear of spiders, whatever, I'm afraid, I'm not afraid.
Yes.
I'm afraid, and you just kind of repeat
Yes.
feelings both sides of it.
Both sides, even accentuating both sides. I'll always be afraid. I'll be afraid till the day I die. And maybe in the next life as well.
Do you think to them that might sound absurd? Like somewhere in their subconscious they could actually be thinking that, so you're covering that.
All the bases. Yeah, really, because you're trying to get all those neural pathways lit up.
And on that, do you think exaggeration? I mean, I'm just curious, really making it more than in that sense.
Yeah, exaggeration is one of those techniques we use when EFT isn't working. You exaggerate,
Okay.
you build it up, you scream and yell. All of those are, I don't know if I've covered those yet in the curriculum. Have I covered screaming and yelling? And yeah.
Screaming
Yeah.
at the wall. You heard
Screaming
somebody.
at the wall, yeah. So that's one of those techniques, is exaggerating, amping it up.
Do you find that's true when people are more traumatized, or just?
When they're stagnant.
When they're stagnant.
If they're just sitting there saying, yeah, he hit me and it really didn't feel good. It's like, he hit me and it sucked. Just screaming and yelling and just getting that neural wiring all lit up.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the nine gamut and why it's shortened sometimes?
Yes, thank you. So the 9 gamut, why it's shortened. So why do we often drop the hum count hum at the end? We drop it because as I've been looking at hundreds of EEGs now, we find that the eye movements shift people's patterns in the EEGs. Their beta goes down on the EEGs when they're doing the 9 gamut. And when they're doing the hum count hum, nothing much seems to happen on the EEG. And that part of the 9 gamut, I think, comes from Brain Gym. And the idea is the left and right hemispheres, you integrate them by doing that. So you try it. Some clients actually do seem to like it. But in terms of actual brain function change, we've never really done a thorough component study of EEG in an MRI or an EEG. It'd be interesting to see which pieces of EFT are most effective overall for people. And so what we found, though, is that the 9 gamut generally is where the biggest shift tends to occur. So the short form of EFT gets you this far in terms of changes in brain function on the EEG. The 9 gamut gets you a lot further. So the 9 gamut was dropped from EFT about 20 years ago. I mean, just fell into disuse. And now that we're doing brain research, we're finding it's actually the single most important component of EFT. So we're doing it a lot now and finding people tend to shift. Yes?
So this was one of the legs. How
Yes.
do we get back to the scarcity?
I would work on all of the legs. So we had 5 legs, which we got in 5 minutes. I'd work on all of the legs, and then usually I'd have a core belief I could test. And the core belief might be something like, well, what might a core belief? There's not enough for me, not enough for everybody, not enough to go around. What might a core belief be?
When you said yesterday, money doesn't grow on trees.
Okay,
That, so that would have been something that I would have heard.
money doesn't grow on trees. So how strongly would you have scored it yesterday?
I think that was a 9.
And what would you score today?
Probably a 5 or a 6.
Okay. So 9 yesterday, 5 or 6 today. So those are good ways of testing, is core beliefs, are those core beliefs changing? Now also in your workbook you'll find ways of finding core issues and core beliefs and core parts of the client's life that contribute to these tabletops. We'll go over those after the break. But the strength of their belief in a core belief, core limiting belief, is a really good one to test. So I just did that with money doesn't grow on trees. 9 yesterday, 5 or 6 today. Any others you can think of?
There's never enough.
There's never enough. So there is never, how about saying there's never enough for me? Would that-
Yeah, there's never enough for me.
Right. There's never enough for me. So just say that slowly and emphatically.
There's never enough for me.
So how true is that right now?
Doesn't make sense.
Does that make sense?
That's why I couldn't say it emphatically. There's never enough for me. It just
Yeah.
doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. And when you're sunk in your own tragic story, you might believe that strongly. And when you're tapping that tragic story away, you might find your belief in that proposition drops. So you'll find people's belief in these limiting visions of self really starts to diminish.